G'day everybody, how you all doing? It's Karen Brewer here, coming at you live from Wellington. Firstly, I want to just say that there are loads of good people up there at the Beehive. There really is. And the vibe is great. The vibe. It's all about the vibe. They've got music playing and controlled opposition managing the crowd, and they've got hand-picked speakers up there, and they get to talk to the crowd, of course. And I've walked through the crowd there numerous times now, and I've bumped into people that I know, and people that I've had stood with at stand in the parks and all that sort of stuff, and I still am bewildered as to why they stand there at the Beehive tugging on a rope in a tug of war with politicians for 6 days now, and they're still not listening to you. They're laughing at you, actually. They look out the windows in those and look down on you, all camped there, and knowing full well if you were serious, you needed to go to the governor's. They know full well you don't know that because the Freemason Desmoulins controlled the school curriculum and removed constitutional studies from schools back in the 70s. And so tonight I thought, okay, I'll go up there with my megaphone, and I thought I will talk to a few people, see what happens. And so I started. I just picked a spot and got my megaphone and told people who I was, spoke about the Governor General, and of course immediately the crowd control of Freemason Desmoulins move in, start heckling and everything else. And I just kept going, I've went and got some flyers printed out. I'll show you. Hang on a sec. I went and got some flyers printed out. They look like this, and I went through the crowd trying to hand them out to people, talking to them about the reserve powers of the governor, explaining why they don't know about this, which is by design because of the school curriculum. There must be, I don't know, there'd be thousands and thousands of people there. It might be a fair thing to say there's probably 7,000 people there. I don't know. I don't know how to count a crowd, but it's packed. And it's packed there with really good people, but the only people getting the mic are all the lawyers, your Sue Greys, your Claire Deekses, and, your Leighton Bakers and your Chantel Bakers and all that sort of stuff. And, of course, they're all controlled opposition, got to ask the two questions. Where did they go to school and who's their daddy? They keep the crowd entertained, and there's singing and dancing, and it feels like a party. I actually don't understand how people can do that when your countrymen are really suffering financially, mentally, emotionally, and indeed physically. People are dying because of these jabs. How is it okay to dance and sing? I get that you want to feel good. I really do. But can you imagine how good you're all going to feel the day you actually get the writs? 7,000 people for 2 hours a day for 7 days straight. Now that shouldn't be hard to do. I mean, I watched here from Wellington as 1.4 million cars, so probably close to 5 million people, mobilised towards Canberra. I watched that, thought it was great. But none of yous went near the governor. Imagine going to all that effort and not going anywhere near your governor. But you were all kept entertained, weren't you? Had a camp, sing song, and you listened to speeches for people to yak about things you already know. Then you all went home. What changed? Nothing. As a matter of fact, you're now closer to the genocide than ever before. I'm just one woman trying to educate Australians and New Zealanders about how your judiciary functions. Your government is part of your judiciary. Do you get that? You all think, you're listening here and you think your Prime Minister is the head honcho, but she's not. Neither is ScoMo. The head honcho are the governors. For 4 years now, I've been trying to warn you all. I've been trying my hardest to teach you all. But the controlled opposition, the Freemason, Demolay controlled opposition, they are well organised. They are well funded. And of course, they're a lot more entertaining, aren't they? Oh, they've got food and they've got crayons for the kids. Come and have a camp. Let the politicians laugh at you for 6 days straight. And that's what they're doing. But you see, if you were to front up at your governor, then that gets serious. But you're all still dancing around to controlled opposition. I'm going to talk a little bit about a servant of your electorate. Now, I understand you're all begging to hear lip service from anyone at this stage, it seems. Anybody that says anything that you remotely might be interested in hearing, you become a fan. Idol worship. But here's the thing, and I'm just going to use Riccardo Bossi as an example for no particular reason, just because. Now, he's put his hand up to run politics. But if Riccardo Bossi doesn't live in your electorate, he can't possibly be your servant. Do you get that? You see, your servant must live in the electorate of which you live. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of people listening to the likes of Bossi or Graham Hood or Pauline Hanson or any of the Johnny-come-latelys. But unless those people live inside your electorate, they can never be your servant. It's incredibly frustrating to know how our judicial system works and trying to teach that to 31 million people both sides of the ditch. After a well-organised school curriculum written by Freemason Demolays to keep you deliberately ignorant. Deliberately ignorant. It's incredibly frustrating. But I don't see any other alternative. I have to keep going. I think that there are literally thousands of good people up at the Beehive that are genuinely concerned about their countrymen and their country. But the controlled opposition are organising that event. Kelvin Alps, who's one of the organisers of the Beehive, he outed himself as a Freemason back in May last year. I mean, they're getting so cocky now, they'll tell you straight to their face. You know, I'm just going to continue on doing what I'm doing. To my fellow Australians, I watched on so hopeful on the weekend that you were all smart enough to surround your governor, realise that we are in a war, spiritual and otherwise. And sadly, you didn't go anywhere near the governor. Controlled opposition organised you all, kept you all entertained, singing and camping and dances, and we all feel good. We're all feeling good, and we're singing, and everybody's thinking the same, and we're feeling good. We're entertained, we're feeling good. But here's your reality. You went home and nothing changed because none of you had the courage to front your governor. Let's talk about warfare. First thing you know when you're in a war, you've got to know who the enemy is. Well, we know who the enemy is. Our governments are the enemy. The Freemason network of filth is the enemy. And the head honcho of that enemy is your governor. If you want to win a war, then you surround the enemy. It's not hard. Surround your governor. It tells you right on their website that what their roles and duties are, the powers that they have. It's incredibly frustrating to have this knowledge. And I know you have it in the palm of your hand. Google the website for your governor. Tab constitutional studies, constitutional role. Read it. Every governor tells you right there. They hold the reserve power to dissolve parliament if they believe the people have lost confidence in the government. How do you tell your governor you've lost confidence in the government? You got to front up on their doorstep and ring the bell and tell them. Just like we've been doing in the videos for the last 3 months, trying to tell you people. I got to say, I take my hat off to Western Australia. They are clearly the most intelligent people in Australia. In a space of about 9 weeks, they've been standing there. They're getting massive crowds now. And believe me, Governor Kim Beazley's feeling that pressure. And so hopefully it will continue on. And then, of course, once one governor falls, hopefully the rest of Australia will catch on. And then hopefully my Kiwi cousins will catch on. The really sad thing right now is there are literally probably 7,000 or 8,000 people up there at the Beehive. If those people decided right now to walk peacefully down to 1 Rugby Street, Newtown, and ring the bell, instruct your governor that you've lost confidence in the government, that you instruct her to dissolve parliament and issue the writs for a fresh election, one after the other saying the same thing. You'll have those writs by midnight. Wow, wouldn't that be a party worth celebrating on the lawn of the Beehive? But sadly, they're all so misled. I am beyond sad because I know that they're ready to trigger these Deposit Takers Act. They're ready to action Section 70 and take your kids off you. So close, and yet so far. 3 kilometres, they are exactly 3 kilometres away from upending this, if they would all just walk there. So to the Freemason Demolay, I say to you, filthy people, you were certainly clever with your infiltration. I get it. You were certainly clever removing constitutional studies from schools 50 years ago. I get that you love mocking, that all this information is now in the palm of everyone's hand if they would just read their cabinet manual and if they would just go to their governor's website and read it for themselves. I realise you mock and you think that's so funny. The information's right in their face, and yet they don't know. Trevor Mallard, I watched you turn sprinklers on my Kiwi cousins. And I hope one day soon there's a high price that you pay for that deceit. Because despite your agenda of keeping everyone deliberately ignorant by your design, the Creator will in fact wake these people, and there will be no safe place to hide for any Freemason Demolay. And that's the truth. The Creator wins this, and I believe that. I'll be standing at the Governor's again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. in Wellington, 1 Rugby Street, Newtown, because I know that is the only way for us to be free. Bye, folks.